Here we are again with Fireside Chat number 2.
And we're trying to avoid the Lord of the Rings special effects like we did last time when I looked like an enormous giant and Jeremy managed to look like a little tiny dwarf. Check it out on the last one if you don't know what I mean.
Elf, I think, rather than dwarf. So what are we going to talk about this time? Well, we thought we'd talk about bags.
Bags, and
we've got lots of them. And this is something that all magicians use. Everybody uses change bags. Sometimes it seems that they use nothing but change bags. And I suppose the forerunner of all the change bags were these, which were based on the old collecting bags used in church.
Yeah, I used to use that as a line. I used to always say, I got this in church full of money. I'm going again next week.
See if I can get another one.
Yeah. I used to say I went to church and somebody gave me this full of money. I'm going back next week for another.
So there you are.
So that's a good line. That was my line.
And although most people wouldn't know that these were church collecting bags now, nonetheless they are very, very useful. And they nearly all work on the same principle, where a little lever, in this case here, is just swung across and you've got 2 compartments. We actually do some of these with 3. These particular ones, this one, was made by the person who used to make them for the Supreme Magic Company.
Yeah, it looks similar.
Beautiful finish.
Very nice.
And there's sort of plush, velvety material here,
so
braid.
It's what you call a one-hand change bag then, is it? Presumably because you just can...
That's a one-handed change bag.
The form of one hand.
Yeah. And show it inside out. And then
actually,
another...
I always think it's very strong, actually, the change bag.
As long as it's not overused.
It's a very strong trick. I mean, people say it's an unusual looking prop, but actually, I was talking to Magic George from Ireland, about this, and he was saying that he thinks it's a very, very strong magical effect. You can almost do it visually, or
as you're shaking it.
As a shake. I mean, I used to just for the fun of it, so that the assistant could see the silks changing or appearing.
Right.
So
it's almost visual.
I think it's almost a visual change.
Well, I was going to show this one. This is slightly different because this is a little bit deeper, but this works by actually turning the handle.
I thought they were the ones that came first. I thought that.
Well, they may be.
I thought this was the refinement.
Oh, right. But there is one thing that you can do with this, which I think is really deceptive, which is you can hold it and say, "What's in there?" to the spectator, and they say nothing. Mm-hmm. And simply doing that and saying, "Well, put your hand in and take nothing," and out come.
Yeah, I remember you showing me that move actually on the stand years ago.
Because
it's just sort of using it like that.
Because it's just that, and it's a natural move to do that for them to put their hand.
It's so much better than just turning the handle, which is why I've seen other people do it.
Well, it's like all these things. If you do it on the offbeat, if it looks like a perfectly natural thing, nobody's going to notice. So there's 2 versions of them. Now, what have you got over there, John?
These are some old Supreme ones.
Right.
Both by Edwin. This was the hen bag, which I think he... phone's going. That he put in his first book. You see, nothing's planned. Well, it's actually planned. Everything's scripted. That's... as you can tell,
we arrange with our customers to phone.
The slick way it's all scripted. This is actually an egg bag, but it's made like a flat change bag. So there's 2 compartments,
right,
rather than a pocket inside. But basically, it's an egg bag routine where the egg would appear and disappear with a different climax. I think Edwin put this in his first book, the Edwin's Magic Volume 1, and of course on the last change, when you turn it inside out, you've got the added effect that you put your hand in here, and out comes the chicken who laid the eggs. So as you turn it back inside out, the whole bag turns into a
it's
little
lovely,
chicken.
isn't it? I mean, if you could do vent, that would look very good.
If I could, yeah.
Shame
Yeah,
about
it's
that.
a shame.
That's a lovely looking prop.
It's a nice bag. I've got 2 of these, and I must admit I've never used them yet.
Which probably means you're going to be inundated now with emails from people saying, "Well, if you're not using one of them, I'll have it."
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's terrific.
I used to use the My Magic hat, which was another version of egg bag, except with a hat, obviously. And I like the finish of that because it ended with a large egg, so I never got around to using this one. I did use this one though quite a bit, and this has been in probably hundreds of my my shows, this prop, and it's a seaside bag, and the whole routine revolves around when you're a young boy, you had your favourite toy, and it was a beach ball. Now the interesting thing about this is, and it's something Edwin showed me, and then Mike Bent said it in his lecture, that the best way to show a bag empty is to empty it, to start with it full and empty it. It's much better than showing it inside out and saying, here is an empty bag, because that immediately arouses suspicion. So Edwin would come on with a bag stuffed with seaside paraphernalia. There'd be spade, and he'd take it all out. There'd be an ice cream in there, spade, bucket, and everything would be in there. So he'd proceed to spend the first 5 minutes of the routine emptying the bag and these comedy props coming out. But then he was left with an empty bag, and so you could show it empty. And the beach ball, of course, turned out to be about this big, because when you were a child you were very small. And you were very poor as well, so you couldn't afford a big one, and you made money on the beach. Dirty great pocket in this one for vanishing a tennis ball size ball. Surprisingly easy to use, and so all the egg bag moves possible with that, even the under the arm. We used to do the under the arm with it and everything. Of course the climax of this one, again, it's a similar one to this. The climax, I've got my swimming trunks in there, they're my swimming trunks. Forgot about that.
That's a good gag.
I forgot about that. When I first started doing it, it was a pair of pink frilly knickers. I don't think I'd ever do that again in a kids show, produce a pair
Perhaps
of...
not.
But, at the time, I was only 15 when I started doing it, perhaps it didn't...
You probably fitted into them.
Yeah, I still can get in them, I think. So, you produce those. They might have been the original ones Edwin had, because I know Edwin had a little tiny pair inside his. And then you'd say, the finale would be, look, we've got a real live donkey from the beach. Oh, that's great, we'll put that away then.
No,
there really is a real live donkey. You want to see a real live donkey walking up and down, and of course in the end you'd turn the bag inside out, and there'd be a donkey, and you'd see a real live donkey walking up and down. And you'd walk up and down a bit.
You've no shame, have you?
No.
Well, funnily enough,
that's well used, that one.
Talking of bags,
hundreds of times.
There's this one which is a bit like a shopping bag as well. And all these things are used for forces, obviously.
I've got one of those.
Have you?
I don't know, I think maybe Ken Scott gave it me.
Well, this is for forcing, in this case, a sponge ball, and we're going to force red. And what you've got is this divider. But of course, because the divider is net, you can't see it at all. So at the back, if I turn it round, you can see all the red ones at the back. And so if you only open that section, they can only put their hand in and choose a red one.
I just feel how that feels. Yeah, it feels very fair, actually.
You can't tell. You just can't tell.
That's our harpist. That's our resident harpist.
Tell us
it's time to take a little break.
Tell us the time, a little break. Anyway, so there we are. That is the a net bag, like a shopping bag. Again, very useful. So we were just talking about net-fronted bags. Here's another one. And if I drop the egg inside, you can see it clearly. But the bit about this is that when this is tipped upside down, I hope the camera will pick that, it drops into that little pocket here. And again, you can make it visibly appear by just giving it a jerk, and the egg
very good.
is back inside. Now, if I take that out, because you've got another egg bag of sorts there.
Well, this is the Mellini bag, which is the feature of this is that it's a very, very, very thin bag made of very thin material. So it looks almost impossible to be able to conceal anything inside it. So it's quite a big egg actually for a Mellini bag, that one, but it should be okay. I mean, so you can, when you show it inside out, you can make a big feature of how thin the material is, and you can actually cover up the gimmick as you show them how thin.
Well, that looks really deceptive.
Feel the material, and it looks really empty. I mean, I think that's the whole point of it. And then, of course, when you reach inside there, the egg will have the bag's got the pockets in the corner so that you can get the spectator to take it out. It's best not to bash it too much. I mean, Jeff Hobson says that. He says people like to bash the bags around too much, and that's overproving a little bit. He says, maybe a little
a tap.
That's all you need to do, really. So. But that's the Mellini bag. It's very, very popular amongst magicians, that one. And
yes.
I think Denny Haney says it's the best magic trick in existence.
Right, well, that's
he always
big
says
billing.
Yeah.
Now, we've actually recorded this sometime earlier, a few months ago, with John doing. This is another speciality egg bag. Turned it inside out.
That's the premium to sell this as well. I remember.
Uncle Charlie's
nightcap. It's a nice
nightcap.
one.
But again, you've got a pocket for vanishing the egg, or
You're not going to miss that pocket. It's a nice big one.
actually, we don't use an egg with this. We use a couple of balls and the.
As far as I remember, you don't use the pocket in the routine.
Well, you don't need to. And this one's got a pocket as well. This is a Christmas version with Santa Claus's hat, and for this you could use a couple of little baubles. You know, nice shiny
Oh yeah, and
baubles.
it's a nice. I mean, obviously that's a Santa Claus.
And you can get a lot of comedy. I mean, I'm not going to, but you could put it on your head and it looks silly. But I'm standing on my dignity here, so I'm not going to.
That one that showed up on the website of me wearing that.
Oh yes, it did. I wonder how that happened.
And that was just one of our own personal private little games that we play. I mean, it should be. That's private.
This is, as opposed to the one-handed change bag, which we were looking at earlier, this is the flat change bag. Will do exactly the same. You've got two compartments. What is slightly different, and I'm biased about these because Cheryl makes these by hand, is that you've got a strip of boning in the top here. And that means that if you hold the bag between finger and thumb, all you've got to do is flex it like that, and you're actually switching compartment. There's
That's a
no,
lovely version of that.
there's no, nothing visible at all. You're just moving your thumb and forefinger like that, and it's switching from one side to the other. But you can show it undone, empty all the time. And lastly are the ones we've got here, and I'm indebted to Roy Baker, who's no longer with us, for his idea of a flat doodle bag. And this is a bag with a compartment in this side, a compartment in this side. There's also a zip in the bottom which gives you all sorts of gags.
Not with the zip in.
Not having the
That's
zip
a
done
neat
up
one.
and you can put stuff in and it drops out and you say no, it's in the bag. But in the finale, if you want to have a nice big finish, it's a rip apart bag. He called it a flat doodle bag, but when you pull it, whatever is in the centre will come flying out.
I used to use one for mutilated parasol.
Yeah, it'd be lovely.
So
So that it actually comes jumping out.
So the parasol cover
I'll do
came
that again. so if I can
flying
get
out of the
jumping.
bag.
There we
Oh.
are. So they actually come flying up in the air. And isn't that a lovely way
That's nice
to,
they made as well. That's.
well, Cheryl makes those.
Oh yeah. Well,
So-
it's nicer made than the one I had.
So there you go,
Man didn't have the have that in there.
with the zip.
Have the zip in.
Well, it just gives you a few extra things that you
I
can
like
do.
that one.
So there we are. That was a little fireside chat all about bags.
Bags.
And I hope you've learned something from that. Thank you very much.